Hello, fellow artists. Get your pen, paper, iPad, or Wacom, and let's do a couple 1-minute sketches. Today we're sketching from the New Masters Academy on YouTube, and it's a great resource for artists to keep limber with figure drawings. The New Masters Academy both has clothed and unclothed models, so you can kind of choose your comfort level. I'm going to choose the clothed models for our drawings, so you don't have to worry about flashing boobies or anything. If you want to draw models that are unclothed, just go head on over to the New Masters Academy, or like we did last week, the Croquis Cafe. Both are really great resources. I just want to thank you for following along with me this week. If you joined me last week, thanks for coming back. If you're new to my channel, just check out all of the random art things I do. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you have done that, thank you so much. If you haven't, go ahead and click that button. We're almost done with the first minute. Go ahead and transform your drawing by taking a lasso tool and Control T to make your drawing smaller. You can also just delete the whole thing and start fresh. I like to keep it just because you see the growth during your small sketch period. From the start to the finish, you get a little bit more loose with your lines, and you can actually see your progress during just a 40-minute period. And I have some slight technical difficulties sometimes, whether it's my toddler coming up and getting right in the way wanting to draw, or it's just my computer. These things can make it hard to do these figure drawings, especially since you only have one short minute, but try and keep calm because it is not going to be perfect, and it's okay to just have the sloppy stick figures. You end up gaining so much more by practicing, even if it's a little sloppy, than if you never did it at all. Okay, quick, get your lasso tool. It's about to change. There it goes. Lasso tool, Control T, make it smaller, put it in the corner or delete it, and get started right on this next pose. If you are following along, you can shoot me a message with your sketches if you want to show them, and I will check them out. We'll kind of do a critique. You can leave me a comment on how I am doing, and I can also give you a little bit of a critique as well if you want it. The unspoken rule about critiques is keep it about the artwork, not the person, and keep it about positive criticism. If you don't agree with where I've put a line, you can maybe do a color over and show me where it should have gone. We're getting ready to change, so lasso tool, get it wrapped around, Control T, make it smaller. Back to our critique talk. I've gone to school to be an art teacher, so I am used to getting critiques. Yeah, I think they're good overall. You can grow in your practice by doing critiques and also receiving critiques. Let me know how I'm doing, or just give me a comment below if you want to see more of this type of drawing. I will be doing this type of drawing either way, but if you want me to record it and spend extra time publishing it so you can see it, please let me know. I really love this pose. It's just so dramatic, and the shadows just accentuate this model really well. Wish I know which model it was. Maybe I'll go and take a peek. We are getting ready to change, so grab your lasso tool and wrap that dude around. Oh, there it goes. Go ahead and Control T, make it smaller, and start right in on the next pose. I think the downside to the New Masters Art Academy over Croquis Cafe is the New Masters seems to be pictures kind of linked together of the same model, and the Croquis Cafe is you see the model actually moving into the new pose, and you almost have a little bit more time to get ready. I'm just seeing that it's so fast, and I didn't realize we had already transferred to the 2-minute poses. So it will start slowing down from now, and we'll have a little bit more time to play around. Okay, I'm going to take my lasso tool and put it around. I didn't have as much time to play with this one as I wanted because I was writing so fast and doing things like that. Notice on this new pose that her head and arm and the left leg are pretty much in a straight line. The rest of her body just has this very graceful curve to the left. Here I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with more time, so I'm focusing less on the stick figure and more on the shapes that I see, like squares and circles and triangles there by her arm and cylinders for her legs and the negative space in between her legs. To see the shape of the object is really important when you're doing figure drawings. You don't have that much time, so you have to see what the shape is pretty much right off the bat and go from there. I still thought this was a 1-minute pose, so I'm transforming the drawing down. You do not have to, unless you want to take a break. It's a good time to take a break. We have about a minute left of this pose, and then we'll move on to the next pose. This one might actually be a 3-minute pose. I've kind of rested my hand and I'm running out of things to do. My little boy is kind of climbing up on me. He really loves when I do drawings. He wants to have his own drawing time. So we're gonna let him do a little bit after we get done with this. Actually, I know what's wrong. I accidentally paused the video when I clicked over to it, so I'm going to figure this out here sooner or later, and then we can get back to drawing. I hope you enjoy this extended drawing, and I wish I would have just kept drawing it. We would have had a fully rendered piece by now. Probably not. We would have had a lot of scribbles, but I don't know. What does yours look like after this? There it goes. Well, maybe it wasn't a pause. This next pose is really nice. The curve is on the left-hand side, and she's got all of these angular shapes for her arms and legs on the right-hand side. If at any time you need more time with this, go ahead and pause this video. Or if you're wanting to hear some different music, go ahead and turn up your music. And go ahead and put me on mute. I'm going to keep talking for those who are just watching, and hopefully everyone gets something out of this. I'm starting to feel really comfortable with the lines in this pose. One thing that I really wish is I wish they would have given her a little bit more headspace on the very top of the screen, because I'm kind of using that as my own guide. And I feel like it gives a claustrophobic feel almost, like it's pushing down and kind of squashing all of the proportions up there. Once you get the general shape of where the body is, you can start following along the edges and describing with a line what the body is actually doing. It helps to know some anatomy and muscle reference. You can kind of tell where her calves and her legs, she's got some definition there. If you're still in the stick figure phase, that is perfectly fine. I've gotten here because I haven't used much undo or erase. I haven't used any erase at all. That really slows down figure drawings, and it's not like it's going to go up in a museum or a gallery anyway, so be a little bit free. And well, there's our next pose. We'll go ahead and transform that, Control T, transform it down, and get right into this next pose. Her arm on the right side is really foreshortened. From the shoulder to the elbow is almost nothing. So be mindful of that, and be sure to give yourself enough space on the edge of the paper to actually get her arm to fit. I didn't, so we're really close, but not enough space. One thing I have learned by doing just a week's worth of these drawings, I don't give myself enough leg. My characters used to be very stumpy. My legs were not as long because I always thought it was one head high between your knees and the ankles. It's not. If you really look at the proportions, the knee, the space between the top of the knee and the bottom of the knee is almost one whole head. Some people have one head high knees, and others, she's got some pretty petite knees, but it's still pretty large. Make sure to give yourself enough space with drawing the legs and arms. They're a little bit longer than you think. If you're using a pen pressure tablet, it is really nice to go ahead and put a little bit more pressure on the lines that describe the shadowy side and less texture on the lines that you're using to describe the sides that are in the light. It's time to grab that lasso, Control T, transform it, and let's get down to this pose. It's one of the longer poses. I think there's only a couple more left after this. Okay, something I do not do is give myself enough space. I'll realize this later, but I pretty much go to the center of the screen and make that curve. If I would have scooted her over just a little bit more to where her toes and her butt is kind of mushed up against my previous drawings, that would have helped out tremendously. I do believe I go back and erase or move her. I'm not entirely sure. We'll figure it out together what I do. Now sometimes when you start out and it's just not in the correct position, it throws everything off, so all the proportions, and it just is like a ball that rolls down the hill, gaining, like a snowball gaining all of the snow. One little mistake in the beginning creates a ton of extra work when you're trying to figure out what's wrong with the drawing. Sometimes it's better to just scrap it and start over. Then I also had the added bonus of having my toddler right there, so I'm about to shoo him off again, and I kind of write toddler problems. And if any of you are parents, you kind of understand you don't get a whole lot of time to yourself. Toddler probs. And I think with this, I take and back up kind of redo, oh no, I'm just going to transform this and start anew on this new pose. Alright, here we are at the new pose. She's got a graceful curve on the left hand side, and her arms are going almost straight down but not quite from her shoulder blades, and her feet are stacked to where you don't even see the right side of her leg at all, the right leg. So this is a very interesting pose. Okay, what I'm going to do is from this point on, I'm going to speed up these drawings. If you're following along, go ahead and pause them anytime you want to spend a little bit more time on the drawings. If you're not following along, this is pretty much for you. That way you don't have to watch the next 19 minutes worth of pretty slow drawing. And there you have it. Thanks for joining me. Go ahead and continue at your own pace. It's going to go by pretty quickly. Stop by that new Masters Academy if you want to do your own paced art, and share with me what you do. I'm really excited that you joined me. Thank you so much. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Thank you. Goodbye.